The forest floor does not offer clean lines of sight or simple movement. It is a layered surface built from decay, growth, and constant rearrangement, where leaves overlap in soft, damp stacks and roots twist through soil that never fully settles. Every step compresses something living or recently alive. Moisture clings to everything, turning textures slick and reducing friction in ways that make footing less reliable than it appears. Light reaches this level in fragments, broken by the canopy into narrow shafts that illuminate only parts of the ground at any given moment. The rest remains in a dim, green-brown half-shadow where detail dissolves into pattern. In this environment, scale becomes deceptive. Large predators dominate attention because they are visible, because their movements reshape the space around them. But much of the Amazon's most efficient violence happens at a level where the body is close to the ground, where contact is immediate and distances are measured in centimeters rather than meters. The giant centipede operates entirely within this layer, moving through it with a kind of controlled fluidity that makes it difficult to track even when it is in plain view. Its body is segmented but unified, each section contributing to a continuous system of motion. Dozens of legs move in coordinated waves, allowing the animal to glide over uneven surfaces without losing balance or speed. This is not random movement. Each leg finds purchase independently, adjusting to micro-variations in the terrain, wet bark, loose soil, decomposing leaves, while maintaining overall stability. The result is a form of locomotion that is both fast and precise, capable of navigating complexity without hesitation. At the front of this moving structure are the forcipules, modified appendages that resemble fangs but function as grasping, puncturing tools connected to venom glands. They are not simply used to bite. They are used to secure. When the centipede makes contact with prey, the forcipules drive inward, delivering venom while simultaneously anchoring the front of the body in place. This is the first point of control, but it is not the only one. What makes the centipede's attack particularly effective is the way the rest of the body participates almost immediately. The legs along its length do not remain passive during a strike. They engage, pressing down, wrapping around, and stabilizing the prey against the substrate. The animal becomes a multi-point clamp, distributing force across numerous contact points. This is not a single bite followed by a struggle. It is a rapid transition into a state where the prey is held in multiple places at once, reducing its ability to twist, pull away, or generate leverage. The speed of this transition is critical. Many small to medium-sized animals in the rainforest rely on rapid reaction times to avoid predation. A frog may leap, a rodent may dart, an insect may take flight. These responses depend on the ability to detect a threat and initiate movement quickly. The centipede's advantage lies in reducing the gap between detection and contact to almost nothing. By operating at ground level, where visibility is already compromised, and by moving with minimal disturbance, it can close the distance before the prey fully registers what is happening. Once contact is established, the nature of the interaction changes. The prey is no longer dealing with a single point of force, but with a distributed system that adapts as it resists. If the prey twists, different legs adjust to maintain grip. If it attempts to pull away, the forcipules remain embedded, acting as a fixed point around which the rest of the body can reposition. The centipede does not need to overpower through sheer mass. It controls through coordination and contact density. Venom plays a role, but it is not the sole factor in subduing prey. The chemical composition of centipede venom varies among species. but it typically contains a mixture of compounds that can cause pain, disrupt ion channels, and interfere with normal cellular function. In smaller animals, this can lead to rapid immobilization. However, the mechanical aspect of the attack often precedes the full effect of the venom. The prey is already restrained before the chemical disruption reaches its peak. This sequence, contact, anchoring, multi-point stabilization, followed by envenomation, creates a layered approach to control. Each element reinforces the others. The venom reduces the prey's ability to coordinate movement, making it easier for the centipede to maintain its hold. The physical grip ensures that the venom is delivered effectively and that the prey cannot escape during the onset of its effects. Together, they form a system that does not rely on a single decisive action, but on the rapid establishment of a condition from which recovery is unlikely. There is an intimacy to this form of predation that differs from the more distant or singular methods seen in larger animals. The centipede's entire body is engaged in the interaction. It is not striking from a distance or applying force through a single point. It is in contact along much of its length, adjusting continuously to the prey's movements. This creates a scenario where the prey is not just being attacked, but enveloped in a dynamic, responsive structure. From a sensory perspective, the centipede operates using a combination of tactile and chemical cues. Antennae at the front of the body sample the environment, detecting vibrations, chemical traces, and physical obstacles. This allows the animal to navigate and locate prey in conditions where vision is limited or absent. Once contact is made, the feedback from its numerous legs provides additional information about the prey's position and movement, guiding how it adjusts its grip. The ecological role of such a predator extends beyond individual encounters. By targeting a range of small to medium-sized animals, amphibians, insects, small mammals, it influences population dynamics at a level that is often overlooked. These interactions contribute to the regulation of species that themselves play important roles in the ecosystem, whether as herbivores, insect predators, or prey for larger animals. The centipede operates within a network of relationships that connect the smallest scales of the forest floor to the broader system. Thermoregulation and moisture are also key factors in its activity. As an arthropod, the centipede is sensitive to desiccation and temperature fluctuations. The humid environment of the rainforest floor provides the conditions necessary for its survival, allowing it to remain active in microhabitats where moisture is retained. It often shelters under logs, within leaf litter, or in burrows during less favorable conditions, emerging when the environment supports efficient movement and hunting. There is a particular kind of unpredictability associated with this predator because it does not create large-scale disturbances that signal its presence. There is no splash, no visible approach through vegetation. The interaction begins at the moment of contact, often without prior indication. For animals moving through this layer, the risk is not something that can be easily monitored at a distance. It is embedded in the environment, present wherever conditions allow the centipede to operate. This brings the sequence of predators to a different kind of conclusion. Where the jaguar applies concentrated force to break resistance immediately, where the caiman uses leverage and water to establish control, where the anaconda compresses until structure fails, where the electric eel disrupts the nervous system, and where the stingray converts a step into a puncture, the centipede demonstrates that control can also be achieved through distributed contact and rapid stabilization. The concept of breaking in this context becomes broader and more precise. It is not limited to the destruction of bone or the visible collapse of tissue. It includes the loss of coordination, the restriction of movement, and the overwhelming of the body's ability to respond effectively. The centipede does not need to shatter structure if it can prevent that structure from functioning as intended. By engaging multiple points at once, it reduces the prey's capacity to generate force in any single direction. In the Amazon, these different methods converge on a common outcome. The environment is not just a setting for these interactions. It is an active component that shapes how force is applied and how resistance fails. Water destabilizes, sediment conceals, vegetation restricts movement, and humidity supports the organisms that exploit these conditions. Each predator is an expression of how life adapts to these constraints, refining a particular strategy until it becomes highly effective within its niche. The centipede, operating at the smallest visible scale of this sequence, reinforces the idea that size is not the defining factor in how quickly a body can be compromised. It is the alignment of anatomy, behavior, and environment that determines the outcome. A system of legs, a pair of forcipules, and a body designed for continuous contact can achieve a result that is as final within its scale as any bite or coil. As the forest floor settles after such an encounter, the signs are minimal. A slight disturbance in the leaf litter, a shift in the position of a small animal, and then stillness returns. The centipede moves on, its segmented body disappearing back into the layered substrate, leaving behind no obvious trace of the interaction. Yet the process it represents is consistent with the broader pattern that defines the Amazon. In this environment, break you fast is not a single mechanism. It is a spectrum of solutions to the same problem: how to remove resistance quickly and efficiently. Sometimes it is achieved through overwhelming force, sometimes through leverage, sometimes through compression, sometimes through disruption of control, and sometimes through a distributed system of contact that denies the body any stable point from which to fight back. The centipede completes this picture not by escalating the scale, but by refining the intimacy of the interaction, showing that even at the smallest levels, the rainforest is built on systems that do not give a second chance once the process has begun. The river looks passive until you stop thinking of it as a surface. From above, it reflects canopy light in broken fragments, greens, golds, and shadow stitched together by current. But below that thin reflective layer, the environment is already reorganizing itself around density, pressure, and movement. Water does not behave like land. It carries force, distributes it, and erases the stable footing that most animals depend on. In that instability, the caiman does not simply exist. It dominates. There is no dramatic entry, no visible approach that announces intent. The caiman is already positioned long before anything steps into range. It rests just below the surface, where its body is suspended with minimal effort, buoyancy doing most of the work that muscles would otherwise have to maintain. Only the eyes and nostrils break the surface, aligned so precisely that they appear as nothing more than minor distortions in the waterline. From this position, the animal is not just hidden. It is integrated into the structure of the river itself. It does not need to move much because the environment brings opportunity to it. Ambush here is not about speed alone. It is about timing within a medium that dampens sound, distorts vision, and delays reaction. When a mammal approaches the edge to drink, or a bird steps too close while scanning for fish, their awareness is tuned to land-based threats. They watch for movement in vegetation, for the sound of something stepping through leaf litter. Water does not provide those signals in the same way. It conceals displacement, absorbs noise, and reduces contrast. The caiman operates inside that sensory blind spot. When the strike happens, it is less a leap and more a release of stored position. The body, already coiled in alignment beneath the surface, converts potential into motion with a sudden upward thrust. The jaws open just enough to frame the target, and then close with a speed that does not need to be exaggerated to be effective. The closure is not a snap designed to cut or slice. It is a clamp. Two heavy, muscular structures coming together with force, directed inward and slightly backward, ensuring that once contact is made, escape becomes immediately difficult. The mechanics of that bite are often misunderstood. The caiman's closing muscles are extremely powerful, capable of generating force that pins rather than punctures. Teeth are conical and interlocking, designed to hold rather than shear. Once they penetrate skin or grip around a limb, they create a mechanical interface that resists withdrawal. The animal does not need to chew or adjust repeatedly. The initial contact, if properly placed, establishes control. This is where the environment begins to participate. On land, a strong animal might still struggle, leveraging friction and stability to pull free. In water, that advantage disappears. The moment the caiman secures its grip and begins to pull, the victim loses footing. The riverbed may be soft, uneven, or entirely out of reach. The current, even if subtle, introduces lateral forces that destabilize balance further. What might have been a contest of strength becomes a problem of physics, where the medium itself undermines resistance. The caiman amplifies this effect through a behavior often described simply as a death roll. But the term obscures the underlying mechanics. The rotation is not random or frantic. It is controlled, using the animal's long body as a lever that twists around its own axis. By anchoring the jaws onto the prey and then rotating, the caiman converts linear force into torque. This torque disrupts the structural integrity of whatever it is holding. Limbs are dislocated, connective tissues are strained or torn, and orientation is lost completely. The prey is no longer aligned with its own body in a way that allows coordinated movement. Water enhances this rotation. Unlike on land, where friction might limit the motion, the caiman can spin with minimal resistance. The surrounding fluid allows for smoother, faster rotation, while also disorienting the prey further. Bubbles, silt, and debris are pulled into the motion, reducing visibility and adding to the confusion. In that moment, the victim is not just fighting the predator. It is fighting the medium that the predator has mastered. Grip retention becomes the defining factor. The caiman does not release unless it chooses to. Its jaw structure allows it to maintain pressure without continuous exertion at maximum capacity, conserving energy while keeping the prey secured. This is critical in an environment where prolonged struggles could attract competitors or increase risk. By establishing a firm hold quickly, the caiman reduces the need for extended conflict. The process becomes one of controlled subjugation rather than chaotic violence. There is also a physiological dimension to this strategy that often goes unnoticed. Caimans, like other crocodilians, can remain submerged for extended periods, slowing their heart rate and conserving oxygen. During a struggle, this gives them a significant advantage. While the prey experiences panic, oxygen depletion, and disorientation, the caiman operates within a system that tolerates and even benefits from submersion. It can wait. It can hold. Time, in this context, is not neutral. It favors the animal that is adapted to the environment. Thermoregulation plays a subtle role in positioning as well. By occupying water that may be cooler than the surrounding air, the caiman can regulate its body temperature while remaining in an optimal hunting zone. The edges of rivers, oxbow lakes and flooded forests become intersections where thermal comfort and prey availability align. These are not random locations. They are selected based on a combination of physiological need and ecological opportunity. The impact of this predatory method extends beyond individual encounters. Animals that rely on water sources must constantly assess risk, adjusting their behavior based on time of day, water clarity, and recent disturbances. Some species approach in groups, increasing vigilance. Others choose shallower areas or drink quickly, minimizing exposure. Yet none of these strategies fully eliminate the risk because the caiman's method does not depend on prolonged detection. It depends on a moment where proximity aligns with opportunity. There is a particular kind of finality in this interaction that differs from many land-based predation events. On land, there is often a sequence: chase, capture, struggle, and then resolution. In water, especially in the presence of a caiman, these phases compress. The transition from normal behavior to complete loss of control can occur in a fraction of a second. The bite is not an opening move in a longer contest. It is the establishment of a condition from which recovery is unlikely. This is what makes the caiman a perfect expression of structural violence within the river system. It does not rely on finesse or repeated adjustments. It relies on leverage, positioning, and the amplification of force through environment. The river is not just a backdrop to the event. It is an active participant, removing stability, distorting perception, and extending the predator's capabilities beyond its own body. Even scavengers and secondary predators interact with this system. The remains of a successful hunt may drift, sink, or become lodged in vegetation, creating localized zones of activity where fish, insects, and other organisms gather. Nutrients are redistributed, feeding into the broader ecological cycle. The caiman's role is not isolated to the moment of capture. It influences the flow of energy through the ecosystem, connecting individual predation events to larger patterns of life and decay. In quieter moments, when the water settles and the surface returns to its reflective calm, there is little to indicate what has occurred. The same patterns of light and shadow reassert themselves, and the river resumes its appearance of stillness. But that stillness is deceptive. It is not the absence of activity, but the concealment of it. The caiman remains, repositioning with minimal disturbance, resetting the conditions for the next interaction. What defines this predator is not just the power of its bite, but the way it integrates that power with the properties of its environment. It turns water into an extension of its own body, using it to destabilize, to amplify, and to control. The result is an encounter where the initial contact is not simply painful or damaging. It is transformative. The moment the jaws close, the rules of the interaction change, and the river itself begins to enforce those new rules. This is the colder side of predation in the Amazon. Not the visible drama of pursuit, but the quiet establishment of control. A clamp that emerges from a surface that seemed inert, a rotation that converts movement into structural failure, and a medium that ensures that once the process begins, it is carried through with relentless efficiency. The caiman does not need complexity in its technique because it has something more reliable. It has leverage, and it has a river that does the rest. The river does not announce him. There is no break in the canopy that signals arrival, no alarm call that carries far enough to warn everything at once. The Amazon does not work that way. It communicates in fragments, ripples, scent traces, displaced insects, a silence that forms in patches rather than all at once. And somewhere inside that shifting field of information, the jaguar is already present, long before it is seen. It moves through a system that is dense, humid, and layered with interference. Yet it reads that system with precision. Every step is placed not just to avoid noise, but to control pressure, to manage how the forest responds to weight. Leaf litter is not simply stepped on, it is negotiated. Water is not simply crossed, it is entered and exited at angles that reduce surface disturbance. The jaguar does not rush because it does not need to. Its advantage begins long before contact. What defines this animal is not speed in the open or endurance across distance. It is structural force concentrated into a single moment. The jaguar's body is built around that idea. Its skull is short and broad, a compact structure designed to transmit force efficiently rather than dissipate it. The jaw muscles, particularly the temporalis, are massive relative to skull size, creating a bite that is not just strong, but controlled in its direction. This matters more than raw power alone. Many predators can bite hard. Few can apply that force with such precision, targeting bone, shell, or the exact point where resistance collapses fastest. The neck and shoulder complex reinforces this design. Thick, dense muscle groups anchor the skull and allow the jaguar to stabilize during the bite. When force is applied, it is not wasted through movement or instability. The entire front half of the animal acts as a locking system, holding position while pressure builds. This is not a slashing predator. It does not rely on repeated strikes or prolonged grappling. It commits once, and that commitment is engineered to end the interaction quickly. In the flooded forests and river edges, where the jaguar often hunts, this specialization becomes even more important. Water changes everything about predation. Visibility is reduced, footing is uncertain, and prey can escape in 3 dimensions rather than 2. A chase becomes inefficient. A prolonged struggle becomes dangerous. The jaguar solves this by eliminating duration altogether. When it targets a caiman resting at the edge of the water, it does not attempt to overpower the animal through sustained conflict. Instead, it positions itself for a single decisive action, often aiming for the back of the skull where bone is thinner and neural pathways are exposed. The bite is delivered not as an act of aggression, but as a calculated termination of resistance. This behavior extends to other armored prey as well. Freshwater turtles with their hard shells and defensive withdrawal represent a challenge that many predators avoid or handle inefficiently. The jaguar does not avoid them. It adapts to them. By targeting the skull or applying force at angles that compromise structural integrity, it bypasses the primary defense entirely. This is where the animal's reputation for bone crushing becomes more than a dramatic label. It is a functional description of how it interacts with its environment. The Amazon is full of organisms that have evolved defenses based on hardness, thickness, or external protection. The jaguar is one of the few predators that meets those defenses directly and overcomes them through force rather than workaround. But the significance of this does not lie only in the moment of the kill. It lies in what that capability does to the surrounding ecosystem. A predator that can end resistance quickly changes the behavior of everything around it. Prey species that might rely on endurance or escape tactics against other predators find those strategies less effective here. The margin for error becomes smaller. A misstep near the water's edge, a moment of inattention, or a slight misjudgment of distance can result in immediate failure. There is no prolonged chase that allows for recovery. There is no drawn-out struggle that creates opportunities to break free. The encounter, once initiated under the right conditions, is resolved almost instantly. This creates a landscape where caution is not just beneficial, but necessary. Animals that share space with the jaguar adjust their behavior in subtle ways. They approach water with more hesitation. They choose resting spots that offer better visibility or quicker escape routes. Even their movement patterns can shift, favoring times or locations where the likelihood of encountering such a predator is reduced. The jaguar does not need to be constantly visible to exert influence. Its presence is embedded in the decisions of other species, shaping the flow of activity across the forest and river system. There is also an efficiency to this method that aligns with the constraints of the environment. The Amazon is rich in biodiversity, but energy is still a limiting factor. A predator that can secure a meal quickly and with minimal injury risk has a significant advantage. Prolonged fights not only consume energy, but increase the chance of damage. Broken teeth, torn muscles, infections that can be fatal in a humid, bacteria-rich environment. By ending encounters rapidly, the jaguar reduces these risks. Its strategy is not just about dominance. It is about sustainability within a system where even small injuries can have large consequences. This efficiency is supported by sensory adaptations that are often overlooked in favor of the animal's physical power. The jaguar's vision, particularly in low-light conditions, allows it to operate effectively during dawn, dusk, and nighttime hours when many prey species are active, but visibility is reduced. Its hearing picks up subtle disturbances, and its sense of smell contributes to tracking, though it relies less on scent trails than some other predators. Instead, it integrates multiple sensory inputs to build a real-time understanding of its surroundings. This is crucial in an environment where information is fragmented and constantly changing. Thermoregulation also plays a role in how the jaguar operates. The dense rainforest can trap heat and humidity, creating conditions that are physically demanding. By utilizing water, resting near rivers, entering them during hunts, and moving through flooded areas, the jaguar can manage its body temperature more effectively. This not only supports its own physiology, but also expands its hunting range into zones where other predators might be less efficient. The interface between land and water becomes a domain where its capabilities are particularly dominant. What emerges from all of this is an animal that embodies a specific kind of ecological role. It is not simply the largest or most powerful predator in its environment, though it is certainly among them. It is a specialist in decisive force, an organism that has evolved to solve a particular problem: how to end resistance in a complex, obstructed, and often unpredictable landscape. The answer it provides is not speed or endurance, but pressure, applied accurately, efficiently, and at the right moment. In a system as intricate as the Amazon, where countless interactions occur simultaneously, this kind of specialization has far-reaching effects. It influences prey populations, shapes behavior, and contributes to the balance of the ecosystem. The jaguar does not need to dominate every encounter or occupy every space. Its impact is concentrated, much like its method of hunting. It appears, acts with precision, and leaves behind a change that persists long after it has moved on. This is why it stands as the opening example of structural damage in the rainforest. It defines a principle that echoes through many other interactions in this environment. Not all threats are gradual. Not all conflicts are prolonged. Some are resolved in a single moment, where preparation, anatomy, and timing converge into an outcome that leaves no room for reversal. The jaguar represents that moment in its purest form. It is not a spectacle of chaos or noise. It is a demonstration of how evolution can refine a process until it becomes almost absolute. And within the dense, layered world of the Amazon, where visibility is limited and signals are often ambiguous, that kind of certainty carries a particular weight. It means that the forest is not just a place of hidden dangers, but a place where those dangers can act with finality. The jaguar does not chase endlessly or test its prey through prolonged struggle. It closes the distance, applies force exactly where it matters, and ends the interaction before the forest has time to react. The water here does not move with urgency. It settles into dark, slow corridors beneath overhanging vegetation, where roots descend like cables and fallen branches create quiet barriers that reshape the current into pockets of stillness. Light filters through in broken shafts, touching only the upper layers before dissolving into a green-brown opacity below. In these margins, where land hesitates and water begins, the structure of the environment becomes soft, uncertain, and forgiving to wait. It is precisely this softness that allows one of the most physically imposing predators in the Amazon to disappear almost completely. The anaconda does not rely on concealment in the way a stalking cat does. It does not need to blend visually with fine detail or manage every footstep to avoid sound. Its body is the concealment. Thick, heavy coils settle into mud, water, and vegetation, distributing mass across a surface that absorbs pressure rather than reflecting it. The snake becomes part of the environment not because it is invisible in color, but because it is structurally quiet. There is no sharp outline to catch the eye, no abrupt motion to trigger alarm. It waits in a state that appears inert, but is in fact highly organized. What defines this animal is not speed or a sudden application of force in the way a bite might suggest. It is the ability to convert contact into control through compression. The anaconda's musculature is arranged in long, continuous bands that run the length of its body, allowing it to generate force not from a single point, but from an entire system of coordinated contraction. When it engages prey, it does not attempt to overpower through impact. It establishes a loop, a single coil placed with enough precision that it can begin to apply pressure immediately. This first contact is often underestimated because it does not look dramatic. There is no explosive strike that lifts the body into the air or throws the prey off balance in a visible arc. Instead, the snake makes contact at close range, usually from water or the edge of it, where its own mass is partially supported and its movement is less restricted. The jaws may secure a grip, but they are not the primary tool of subjugation. They serve as an anchor point, allowing the body to begin its work. The placement of the initial coil determines everything that follows. If it lands across the thoracic region, the area around the ribs and lungs, the snake immediately gains leverage over the prey's ability to breathe. If it secures a limb or part of the neck, it can begin to restrict movement and destabilize posture. But the most effective engagements are those where the coil intersects with the core of the body, where structural integrity and vital functions overlap. The snake is not guessing. Through evolutionary refinement, it has developed a sensitivity to body shape resistance and movement that guides how and where it applies pressure. Once the first loop is established, additional coils follow rapidly, each one reinforcing the previous. The prey's instinct is to struggle, to expand the chest, to pull away, to create space. But in doing so, it provides the snake with exactly what it needs. Each attempt to inhale pushes outward against the coils, allowing the snake to tighten further when the prey exhales. This creates a ratcheting effect, where the available space around the body decreases incrementally with each breath cycle. The trap does not close all at once. It closes through the prey's own physiology. This is where the idea of breaking becomes more accurate when understood as structural collapse rather than sudden fracture. The anaconda does not typically shatter bones in the dramatic sense often portrayed in fiction. Instead, it applies sustained pressure that interferes with circulation and respiration simultaneously. Blood flow is restricted as vessels are compressed, reducing the ability of oxygen to reach critical tissues. At the same time, the expansion of the lungs becomes increasingly limited, preventing effective breathing. The combined effect is a rapid decline in function, where the body can no longer maintain the processes required for resistance. Rib structures, designed to expand and contract during normal breathing, become points of vulnerability under this kind of pressure. They are not meant to withstand continuous inward force from multiple directions. As the coils tighten, the ribs are pushed beyond their normal range of motion, and while they may not always break, they lose their ability to support effective respiration. The chest cavity cannot expand sufficiently, and the mechanics of breathing begin to fail. What appears from the outside as a slow constriction is internally a rapid destabilization of essential systems. Water amplifies this process in subtle but important ways. In a terrestrial environment, a large animal might be able to brace against the ground, using friction and leverage to resist compression. At the water's edge, or within shallow flooded areas, that stability is reduced. The substrate may be soft, the footing uncertain, and parts of the body may be partially buoyant. This makes coordinated resistance more difficult. The anaconda, by contrast, is adapted to operate in this medium. Its mass is supported, its movements are less constrained, and it can adjust coil placement with greater ease. There is also an element of sensory feedback that guides the constriction process. The snake does not simply squeeze at maximum force continuously. It responds to the movements and internal rhythms of the prey. Studies on constrictor behavior have shown that these animals can detect changes in heartbeat and pressure, adjusting their grip in response to the prey's condition. When the prey struggles, the snake tightens. When the movement decreases, the pressure is maintained, but not necessarily increased unnecessarily. This allows the anaconda to conserve energy while ensuring that control is not lost. The timescale of this interaction is often misunderstood. It is neither instantaneous nor prolonged to the point of inefficiency. The collapse of effective circulation and respiration can occur relatively quickly once the coils are properly established, often within minutes. However, the process is not accompanied by dramatic external signs. There is no visible breaking point in the cinematic sense. Instead, there is a transition from active resistance to reduced movement and eventually to stillness. The change is functional rather than theatrical. From an ecological perspective, this method of predation allows the anaconda to target prey that might otherwise be difficult to subdue. Capybaras, deer, and even caimans in certain contexts represent substantial sources of energy, but they also pose risks. By using constriction Rather than repeated biting or prolonged grappling, the snake minimizes the chance of injury. Teeth are used primarily for grip, not for inflicting damage, reducing the likelihood of breakage. The body does the rest, distributing force across a large area rather than concentrating it in vulnerable points. Thermoregulation and metabolic strategy also influence how and when the anaconda hunts. As a large ectothermic animal, it relies on external temperatures to regulate its activity. Water provides a more stable thermal environment than land, allowing the snake to maintain functional body temperatures even when air conditions fluctuate. This stability supports longer periods of inactivity, punctuated by brief, decisive hunting events. After a successful capture, the anaconda may not need to feed again for an extended period, conserving energy while digesting a large meal. The presence of such a predator affects the behavior of other species in ways that are less immediately visible than the influence of more active hunters. Animals that use water edges for feeding or drinking must account for the possibility of a hidden constrictor. This can alter movement patterns, feeding times, and habitat use. Some species may avoid certain areas altogether, while others approach with increased caution. The anaconda does not need to be frequently seen to exert this influence. Its method of predation ensures that encounters, when they occur, are decisive enough to reinforce avoidance behavior. There is a particular kind of unease associated with this form of predation because it lacks the clear signals that many animals, including humans, are tuned to detect. There is no loud approach, no visible escalation. The environment appears stable until it is not. The transition from safety to capture is marked not by a sequence of warnings, but by a single point of contact that immediately begins to reshape the conditions of the encounter. What makes the anaconda especially effective is that it turns fundamental biological processes into liabilities. Breathing, which sustains life, becomes the mechanism through which the trap tightens. Movement, which would normally aid in escape, provides feedback that allows the snake to adjust its grip more effectively. The skeleton, designed to support and protect, becomes a structure that can be compressed and leveraged. In this sense, the anaconda does not simply overpower its prey. It uses the prey's own design against it. Within the broader context of the Amazon, this represents another expression of how force is applied and amplified. Where the jaguar delivers concentrated pressure through a bite and the caiman uses leverage and environment to establish control, the anaconda employs sustained compression to achieve structural collapse. Each method is different, but all converge on the same principle: the rapid removal of resistance through mechanisms that are finely tuned to the conditions of the environment. In the quiet margins of the river, where water meets land and the boundaries between them blur, the anaconda waits without announcing its presence. It does not need to. Its effectiveness lies in what happens after contact, in the way it transforms a simple point of contact into a system of control that closes with each breath. There is no need for spectacle when the outcome is determined by physics, physiology, and a body built to turn both into a single, inescapable process. The riverbed appears stable until you understand what stable means in a place built on sediment. Fine sand settles in thin, shifting layers, interrupted by patches of silt and decomposing organic matter that absorb weight rather than resist it. Every step taken into this environment is not a firm placement, but a negotiation with a surface that yields, compresses, and redistributes pressure outward. Light from above fractures as it passes through the water column, softening edges and reducing contrast until objects merge with their surroundings. In these conditions, visibility is not simply limited, it is unreliable. What seems like an empty patch of riverbed may in fact be occupied by an animal that has adapted perfectly to this uncertainty. The stingray does not hide by retreating. It hides by becoming the ground. Its body settles into the sediment with minimal disturbance, wings pressing gently downward until the edges disappear beneath a thin covering of sand or mud. Only the spiracles, small openings behind the eyes used for drawing in water, remain exposed, along with the eyes themselves, positioned on the upper surface to monitor the environment above. The rest of the animal is integrated into the riverbed so completely that it ceases to register as a separate form. It is not an object in the environment. It is part of the environment. This strategy is not primarily about avoiding predators. It is about controlling the conditions under which interaction occurs. The stingray occupies a position where contact is likely, but detection is not. Fish passing overhead may sense subtle electrical fields generated by the ray's body, but for larger animals, mammals, birds, or anything stepping into the water, the primary sense involved is mechanical. Weight is applied downward, and the riverbed responds. What the animal cannot easily detect is that the surface beneath it is not inert. The stingray's most distinctive feature, the tail spine, is not a weapon in the conventional predatory sense. It is a defensive structure, a modified dermal denticle that has evolved into a rigid, serrated blade. Along its length are grooves that contain venom-secreting tissue covered by a thin sheath that ruptures when the spine penetrates flesh. The spine itself is not thrown or projected. It is driven upward by the motion of the tail, which can flex rapidly in response to pressure from above. This motion is not a strike in the sense of chasing or targeting. It is a reflexive reaction to being stepped on or otherwise compressed. The danger emerges from the alignment of forces. When an animal steps onto the riverbed, its weight is directed downward, compressing whatever lies beneath. If that something is a stingray, the pressure triggers an immediate response. The tail arches upward with enough speed and force to drive the spine into whatever is applying that pressure. The direction of the strike is vertical, opposing the downward force of the step. This creates a moment where two forces meet, one pushing down, the other driving up, and the result is a puncture that can be deeper and more forceful than either force alone might produce. This is why the injury is not simply a superficial wound. The spine is capable of penetrating deeply into tissue, and its serrated edges can cause tearing as it enters and, more significantly, as it is withdrawn. The venom introduced through the grooves adds another layer of complexity, inducing intense pain, local tissue damage, and systemic effects depending on the severity of the envenomation. But even without considering the venom, the mechanical damage itself can be severe. The combination of puncture and tearing creates a wound that is difficult to manage, especially in an environment where stability is compromised. Water complicates every aspect of the response. When an animal is injured on land, it can often stabilize itself, apply pressure to the wound, and orient its body to minimize further damage. In the river, footing is uncertain, and balance is easily lost. An individual struck in the foot or lower leg may instinctively shift weight, only to find that the substrate beneath the other foot is equally unstable. The immediate reaction, pulling away, can exacerbate the injury, as the serrated spine may tear additional tissue during withdrawal. The water itself may obscure the extent of the damage while also introducing contaminants that increase the risk of infection. The stingray's interaction with its environment extends beyond this defensive mechanism. By burying itself, it also participates in the microdynamics of the riverbed. Its movements disturb sediment, influence the distribution of small invertebrates, and create localized changes in the substrate that can affect other organisms. Small fish and crustaceans may be drawn to these disturbances, either as prey or as opportunistic feeders. In this way, the stingray is both a participant in and a modifier of its immediate environment, shaping the conditions under which other species operate. Sensory adaptations play a role in how the stingray detects potential threats. Like many elasmobranches, it possesses electroreceptors known as ampulla of Lorenzini, which allow it to detect the weak electrical fields produced by other animals. This sense is particularly useful in low visibility conditions, enabling the ray to perceive movement and presence even when visual cues are limited. However, the defensive strike is not dependent on precise targeting. It is triggered by pressure and proximity, making it effective even when the exact nature of the threat is unclear. The ecological context of this interaction is important. Stingrays are not aggressive animals seeking out large prey to attack. Their primary diet consists of small fish, invertebrates, and organisms that can be located within or just above the sediment. The defensive strike is a response to being threatened, not a method of hunting larger animals. Yet the consequences of that defense can be severe, particularly for animals that share the same shallow waters. This creates a situation where the risk is not tied to predation in the traditional sense, but to the conditions of movement within the habitat. Animals that frequent these environments develop behaviors that reduce the likelihood of triggering such encounters. Some species adopt a shuffling gait when moving through shallow water, dragging their feet along the substrate rather than stepping directly down. This motion can alert buried stingrays, prompting them to move away before contact occurs. It is a small adjustment, but one that reflects an understanding, whether learned or instinctive, of how the environment responds to pressure. The river does not simply support movement. It reacts to it. This reaction is at the core of what makes the stingray a different kind of threat within the Amazon. Unlike predators that actively pursue or ambush, the stingray creates a condition where the act of movement itself becomes risky. The environment is not passively dangerous, it is responsive. The moment force is applied in the wrong place, the system pushes back with a mechanism that is both immediate and effective. The trap is not something set in advance. It is something that is activated by the very action that triggers it. From a structural perspective, the injury inflicted by a stingray can be understood as a failure of tissue under sudden localized force. The body is not prepared to absorb a sharp, upward-directed puncture in the way it might resist blunt pressure or lateral impact. The depth and angle of penetration can compromise muscles, tendons, and, in severe cases, vital structures depending on the location of the strike. In shallow water, where people or animals may be wading, the lower limbs are particularly vulnerable, but the principle applies to any part of the body that comes into contact with the hidden animal. There is an irony in how this interaction unfolds. The stingray does not seek conflict, yet it delivers one of the more abrupt and painful forms of injury in the river system. The threat is not announced, not pursued, and not escalated through visible cues. It is triggered by a misalignment between expectation and reality, where a surface assumed to be inert is, in fact, occupied by a living organism equipped to respond instantly to pressure. The result is an encounter that feels accidental, yet is entirely consistent with the biology of the species involved. Within the broader framework of the Amazon, the stingray represents another variation on how bodies can be compromised quickly and effectively. It does not rely on jaws to clamp, coils to constrict, or electricity to disrupt. It uses a concealed structure that converts downward force into upward penetration, turning the act of stepping into a point of vulnerability. The environment, once again, plays a central role, masking the presence of the animal and amplifying the consequences of contact. As the sediment resettles after such an encounter, the riverbed returns to its previous appearance. The disturbance fades, particles drift back into place, and the visual cues that might have indicated danger disappear. The stingray may move, or it may settle again, re-establishing its position within the substrate. The system resets, not because the threat has been removed, but because it has been reintegrated into the environment. This is what gives the stingray its place in a sequence of predators defined by structural impact. It demonstrates that the Amazon does not require active pursuit to create decisive outcomes. Sometimes, the most effective mechanisms are those that remain hidden until the exact moment they are triggered. A single step, a shift of weight, and the river responds, not with a chase or a struggle, but with a precise upward force that turns assumption into injury. The water here looks quiet in a different way than the riverbank shallows. It is darker, more enclosed, often cut off into narrow channels where fallen branches and submerged roots slow the current into near stillness. Organic debris settles into soft layers along the bottom, releasing faint clouds of particles when disturbed. Visibility is limited, not because of depth alone, but because the water itself is dense with suspended life, microscopic organisms, decaying plant matter, fine silt that never quite settles. In this environment, vision becomes unreliable, sound travels poorly, and movement is felt more than seen. It is a place where the body relies on signals that are not immediately obvious, and where control over those signals becomes a form of power. The electric eel occupies this space not as a visible predator, but as a field of potential. It does not need to be seen clearly to be effective. Its body, elongated and seemingly unremarkable at a glance, carries within it a system that interacts directly with the nervous systems of other animals. This is where the concept of breaking shifts away from bones and tissue and into something less visible, but no less decisive. The eel does not need to crush or tear. It interferes with the very mechanism that allows a body to function. At rest, the eel generates weak electric fields that it uses for navigation and perception. In water, where light is scattered and vision is compromised, this form of electrolocation becomes a primary sense. The eel emits low-voltage pulses and reads the distortions created when those fields encounter objects, allowing it to build a detailed understanding of its surroundings. Prey is not simply detected by movement or outline, but by how it alters the electric landscape. This sensory system allows the eel to operate with precision in an environment that obscures most other forms of detection. But this is only one layer of its capability. When the eel shifts from perception to predation, it activates a different system entirely, one that produces high-voltage discharges capable of affecting other organisms directly. These discharges are not random bursts. They are controlled, patterned, and targeted. The eel can generate rapid sequences of electrical pulses that travel through the water and into the bodies of nearby animals. Because water is an efficient conductor, especially in these mineral-rich environments, The signal spreads outward in a way that is both immediate and difficult to avoid at close range. What makes this interaction so effective is that it bypasses external defenses. Scales, shells, muscle mass. These are all adaptations designed to resist physical force. Electrical discharge operates on a different level. It interacts with the nervous system, the network that controls movement, coordination, and response. When the eel releases a high-voltage pulse, it induces involuntary muscle contractions in the prey. The body is forced to move, not by its own intention, but by an external command imposed through electrical stimulation. This is where control begins to break down. In a terrestrial environment, a sudden muscle contraction might result in a stumble or a brief loss of balance. In water, the consequences are amplified. Swimming requires coordinated, rhythmic movement. Limbs or fins must work in sequence, generating propulsion and maintaining orientation. When those signals are disrupted, when muscles contract out of sequence or lock unexpectedly, the ability to swim collapses. The prey may thrash, twist, or freeze entirely, unable to produce the controlled motion needed to stay upright or reach the surface. The eel often uses this effect in a highly strategic way. By delivering rapid pulses, it can cause prey to reveal themselves through involuntary movement, even if they are hidden within vegetation or sediment. A fish that might otherwise remain still and undetected is forced into motion, creating a signal that the eel can track. This turns the prey's own body into a beacon, a source of information that the predator can exploit. It is a form of hunting that converts the nervous system into both target and tool. Once the prey is located and within effective range, the eel can escalate the intensity of its discharges. High-voltage bursts can induce sustained muscle contraction, effectively locking the body into a rigid state. This is not paralysis in the sense of complete inactivity, but a forced contraction that prevents coordinated movement. The prey cannot swim properly, cannot orient itself, and cannot execute escape behaviors. It is not that the body is destroyed. It is that the instructions that govern the body have been overridden. This distinction is critical. The eel does not need to inflict visible damage to create a lethal situation. In water, loss of control is often as dangerous as physical injury. A fish that cannot maintain its position may drift, collide with submerged objects, or become easy prey for other predators. An air-breathing animal that is stunned near the surface may fail to reach it in time, leading to drowning. The environment, once again, becomes an amplifier of the initial effect. The eel initiates the disruption, and the water ensures that the consequences are immediate and severe. There is also a behavioral dimension to how the eel applies its electrical output. Observations have shown that electric eels can leap partially out of the water to deliver shocks more effectively to threats or prey at the surface. By bringing their bodies closer to the target and reducing the distance the current must travel through water, they increase the intensity of the effect. This behavior highlights a level of control and adaptability that goes beyond simple discharge. The eel is not just emitting Alcaraba indiscriminately. It is adjusting its position and output to maximize impact. From a physiological standpoint, the eel's ability to generate such high voltages is rooted in specialized cells called electrocytes, which function similarly to batteries arranged in series. Each cell contributes a small potential difference, and when activated together, they produce a significant electrical output. This system is metabolically expensive, requiring energy to maintain and recharge. As a result, the eel does not use high-voltage discharges continuously. It deploys them in bursts, timed to coincide with opportunities where the return on energy investment is highest. Thermoregulation and habitat selection also influence the eel's activity patterns. Like many fish in the Amazon, it operates within a range of temperatures that support its metabolic processes. Warmer waters can increase activity levels, but also demand more energy. The eel often occupies environments where temperature, oxygen levels, and prey availability align, allowing it to maintain efficiency. In low oxygen waters, its ability to gulp air at the surface provides an advantage, enabling it to exploit habitats that might be less accessible to other predators. The presence of electric eels alters the behavior of other species in ways that are less obvious than the reactions to more visible predators. Fish may avoid certain areas or remain closer to cover. Amphibians and small mammals that enter the water must contend not only with the risk of physical attack, but with the possibility of sudden, invisible disruption. The threat is not something that can be seen approaching or heard in advance. It exists as a condition of the environment, a potential that can be activated without warning. In the broader context of the Amazon, the electric eel represents a different pathway to the same outcome that other predators achieve through force. Where the jaguar applies pressure through a bite, and the caiman uses leverage and rotation, and the anaconda relies on sustained compression. The eel disrupts the system that allows the body to function at all. It does not need to overpower muscles when it can control them. It does not need to damage structure when it can prevent structure from operating. This expands the idea of what it means to break a body within this ecosystem. Structural failure does not always involve visible damage. It can occur at the level of coordination, where the integration of movement, balance, and response collapses. In a dense aquatic environment, that collapse can be just as final as any physical injury. The body may remain intact, but it is no longer capable of sustaining itself within the conditions it occupies. There is a quiet efficiency to this method that mirrors the broader patterns of the rainforest. Energy is used precisely, effects are amplified by the environment, and outcomes are achieved without unnecessary expenditure. The eel does not chase extensively or engage in prolonged struggle. It creates a moment where control is lost, and then takes advantage of that moment. As the water settles after a discharge, there is little to indicate what has occurred. No torn vegetation, no visible wound, no obvious sign of violence. Yet the interaction has already reached its conclusion. The prey, deprived of coordination, has either been consumed or has succumbed to the conditions that follow. The river returns to its muted stillness, carrying with it the subtle currents and suspended particles that define this environment. In this way, the electric eel completes a broader picture of predation in the Amazon. It demonstrates that destruction is not limited to what can be seen or measured in physical damage. It can occur through the interruption of systems that are essential to life. By breaking control rather than structure, the eel reveals another dimension of how quickly and effectively the rainforest can end a struggle.